Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining from. Just you're able to see the screen, then we will start. Just waiting for confirmation and then we will start. Perfect. Thank you so much for your responses. So today we are here to discuss about the new PMP exam that would be conducted after 9th July. Okay, so exam is changing from 9th July onwards. So we just wanted to understand what will be there as a change, and more importantly, what effort you will need to put when you are preparing for the exam. There could be two cases. Either you are starting your preparation fresh, right? Then you don't have to worry about anything. You'll be preparing for the new exam itself. If you have already been preparing, but you think you'll not be ready by 9th July, then what would happen? So we are basically trying to understand what type of changes has happened in the exam, what would matter when you are preparing, and how much more effort you will need. In very short, content wise, there's not much change. The changes is in type of questions. So we'll be discussing those question types also, so that you are aware of what are the different type of question that has been added into the exam. Right. So it will take approximately 40-45 minutes for us to discuss. And depending on the questions that you ask on the comment box, we will be extending it to probably 60 minutes. Right. Now, so how are we going to cover this session? First, we will discuss the exam content and structure. Very simple things. What type of changes have happened in the structure itself. Then we will talk about the type of questions. There are around 7 to 8 type of questions. We'll discuss all those type of questions, trying to understand what PMI wants to test through these questions. Okay, that is more important because any information that I'm going to share is already available in the exam content outline, but the video will help you dive a little bit deeper into it, trying to understand what it means for you. What does it mean for the preparation? What is PMI trying to test? Why has PMI done that? Right? So we are trying to understand why behind whatever we are going to discuss. Then we'll also discuss how to prepare for the exam depending on whether you are starting fresh or you have already been preparing for the exam. Right? At any point of time, if you have any question, you may please put those doubts, questions in the comment, in the chat box. And once I finish one section, once I finish one topic, I'll take those questions and I'll start discussing. Okay. So feel free to ask any question that may be troubling you or that you want to get an answer to. All right. Let us start. So in terms of exam content, first and foremost, what is PMP? PMP is Project Management Professional Certification, right? It is conducted by PMI, Project Management Institute, and they have collaborated with Pearson VUE, who conducts the exam. So PMI collaborates with Pearson VUE. Pearson VUE is the body that conducts the exam, ultimately giving you the gold standard certification in project management. There's no doubt about the value, the importance of PMP certification. It is one of the best certification in project management. Not just one of the best. It is, in fact, in my opinion, it is the best certification in project management. Right. Now, how do you get PMP? First, you need to fulfill some eligibility criteria. Uh, there are 3 years of experience that you need, 35 hours of training that you need. If you have all those things, you fulfill the eligibility criteria, you apply for the exam. The application is assessed, reviewed, and then they give you a confirmation that yes, your application is approved. Now you can schedule the exam. Right? First thing is fulfill the eligibility. Then you submit the application. Application is online. At during submission of application, you don't have to uh, submit any document. You just have to mention what your experience was, what is your eligibility criteria, what was the project like, and what was your role in the project. You mention all those things and you submit the application. They will take approximately 5 days to approve the application. Once it is approved, you will have a 1 year window to make the payment for the exam and schedule the exam. So during submission of application, you don't have to make any payments. Okay, within 1 year, you can make the payment and schedule your exam. On the date of the exam, you take the exam. Immediately, the result is available within 2 days or 3 days. The certification is also available. Right? I'm not diving deep into this because I believe it is well understood. The process is very simple. Uh, you would already meet the eligibility criteria, submit the application, schedule the exam, and take the exam. All right. In terms of eligibility criteria, very quickly, is divided into three parts: education, experience, and training. Education, it could be high school diploma that you might have. You may have a bachelor's degree. If you have a diploma, or there are certain certification programs, if you have that, then they are looking for 4 to 5 years of experience. If you have a bachelor's degree, then they are looking for 3 years of experience. Total 36 months. Months, because sometimes you may not be completing the project in a full year. It may take 8 months, 9 months, 15 months, 18 months to complete the project. Hence, you will have to add 2, 3 projects also sometimes to meet the 36 months experience criteria. Along with this, you also need 35 hours of training in project management, which can be provided by premier authorized training partners like us, or it could be done by any other training company. You can go for live session, you can go for in-person session, you can go for online session, you can go for self-paced. As long as there are 35 hours of training provided in project management, you will meet those criteria. Right? So during your application, this is what you mention. You don't submit any degree certificate or training completion certificate. You just have to mention that, yes, this is a degree that I've completed. These are my experiences. You will talk about the experience, your role in the project, and you will say that this is the training that I completed from this particular institute. Okay. This is the training that we also provide. That's why the star is there. All right. So in terms of exam structure, what would be there in the exam? What is the exam like? Now, this exam, PMP, as you might be aware of, is not a simple exam in terms of the duration itself. The duration is 2 hours, and the exam is divided in multiple sections. Okay. In the new exam, the first section would be about case study. They'll give you a case study, a paragraph, 2 or 3 paragraphs, and you have to understand that paragraph. From those paragraphs, 2, 3, 4 questions would be created, right? So from one paragraph, 3, 4 questions would be created. Till now, you have been answering scenario-based questions. One scenario explained in 2 to 3 sentences. There's a question that follows, and you answer through multiple choice question. Same thing would happen. There will still be multiple choice questions, but it will be based on one case study. So one case study will have 4 or 5 questions. Okay, so that will be section one. Then you will get a break, an optional break of 10 minutes. So they will ask you on the screen, do you want to take a break? If yes, then you will take a 10-minute break. After that 10-minute break is over, you will go to section 2, then again another break, and then section 3. Right? Now you will see that I have mentioned 60 questions because this is what used to happen and what is currently happening till 8th July. Right? But from 9th July onwards, will there be 60 questions in every section? That we don't know. Okay. What we know for sure is the first section will be of case study, where they'll give you a case, and based on that case, there will be 4 or 5 questions. But will those be 60 questions? That we don't know, right? Only when people start taking the test and we get some more information about PMI, then we'll come to know. Point is, put together, there will be 180 questions divided in 3 sections. Between the 3 sections, there will be 2 optional break, and you will get 240 minutes to answer these 180 questions. Right? The 20-minute break that you get is extra. If you don't take a break, it will not be added to your exam. Right? If you take a break, it will be better. My suggestion to everybody is to take a break because 4 hours is a long exam. You need that break to just quickly refresh yourself, come back and take the exam. Right? So what has happened here is that till 8th July, the timing was 230 minutes. Now they have given you 10 minutes extra. And there's a reason for it because they have added a lot of interactivity in the questions. So a lot of questions will be interactive. You'll have to select something, you'll have to drop down something, you'll have to drag and drop, which might take some time. Case study, studying and answering the questions might take some time. So they have given 10 minutes extra for that. right? So 240 minutes, exactly 4 hours in which you have to answer 180 questions. Now, what will be there in the exam? Okay. Some of you may have an experience in construction, manufacturing, right? Those cases which are called traditional project management, those are predictive type of projects. Some of you may have experience in software, research and development project, new product development, which means you have experience in agile. Okay. Some of you may have experience in hybrid. Typically, what is seen across the world whenever PMI does a survey is that 60 to 65% of the projects that happen around the world happen in agile or hybrid fashion, adaptive or hybrid fashion. 35 to 40% of the projects that are happening currently in the world are done by predictive approach. Right? So your exam would also be reflective of the same thing. Around 60 to 65% of the questions in the exam will be from agile approach. 35 to 40% of the question will be from predictive approach. Right? Put together, you will have all 180 questions asked in the PMP exam from these approaches. Now, very, very important point. See, the exam does not classify the questions based on predictive or hybrid. Okay, so you don't have to worry about whenever you are solving question, is it predictive? Is it adaptive? Is it traditional? Is it agile? That would be a waste of time because PMI and project management in general is focusing towards or moving towards something called tailoring. What do we mean by tailoring? Very simple word, this is customization. Right? You will have to tailor your approach. You will have to customize your approach, the methodologies, the framework, the way you work according to changing circumstances in the project. See, because of new technologies, because of artificial intelligence, because of the way we are working these days, because of the risk, the gamble that everybody takes, businesses take these days, what happens is the project would meet with lot of changes, right? As a project manager, you should know how to customize your approaches to these changing circumstances. So PMI does not want you to think that, okay, I will first study for traditional approach, I'll study for agile approach, and then there will be a question. I'll think what is it, traditional or agile, and then I'll answer it. The reason I'm highlighting it is because during my discussion with people who are preparing for PMP, I see this a lot. Is it a traditional question? Is it an agile question? It's not about that. The point is that exam is not classified in predictive versus adaptive. So it's not that 100 questions will be on traditional, 80 questions will be on predictive. Right? Yes, more or less, this would be the distribution of approaches. But that's not how you have to prepare. That's not how you have to think. You have to think in a fashion that as a project manager, I would look at the situation, I will look at the scenario, and then I will decide as a leader which approach, which methodology, which framework works the best in given conditions. So what should I do will be based on my understanding, my skills, rather than trying to go back to say, okay, is it traditional? What should I do? Is it agile? What should I do? That is not the right way to prepare for the exam. Okay, a project manager should be able to choose the right approach, the methodologies, the frameworks, right, as the project conditions change. Right? So you have to build or develop or polish the skills that you already have is to be able to tailor according to the changing circumstances. See, even if you, when you deal with people, there will be team members who are not experienced. There will be team members who are highly experienced. You cannot deal with them in the same way. Some customers would be very supportive. Some customer would be very not supportive, I would say. Right? You cannot deal with them in the same way. Right? Different project will have different challenges. You cannot apply the same framework everywhere. Right? So as a project manager, you need to be prepared to tailor, to customize the way you work throughout the project. And hence, yes, there would be 35 to 40% questions from predictive. There would be 60 to 65% questions from agile and hybrid. But you did not need to prepare like that. You do not need to see every question in the from the filter of whether it is traditional or agile. Okay, it's a very important understanding. It is a very helpful understanding in building the mindset that is needed to pass the PMP exam with confidence. Okay, that is one part, very important part. If you have any question, you can please mention on the comment box. I'll answer those questions. For now, let's move ahead. So what is tested in the exam? Okay, if you look across PMI, they talk about something called talent triangle. So they say that as a project professional, you should have talent in three areas, right? You should know the ways of working, best practices, you should have power skills, and you should have business acumen. Right? Ways of working is basically best practices. Do you know how to build scope, schedule, budget, and other parts? Power skills is basically soft skills, redefined as power skills. Do you know how to deal with people? Do you know how to deal with customer? Do you know how to deal with management and the suppliers? Do you have the interpersonal skills needed to successfully get the project done? And business acumen is basically your ability to connect your project work with the organizational strategy. Okay, do you have that business acumen? Do you have that business insight, which would help you in connecting your work to organization? Which means basically, if anything is happening around the organization, how will it impact your project? Whatever you do in the project, how will it impact the organization? Do you think in that way? Do you have that intelligence? Is what is meant by business acumen, right? So PMI says that every project professional should have these three talents, if I may say so. You should know the best practices, you should know the ways of working, you should have the interpersonal skills to deal with people, and you should have business insight. Now, if that's what PMI says, then the exam would also reflective of the same thing, because exam is also for project professionals, project managers, right? And it is exactly so. So if I take the liberty of mapping this talent triangle with exam content outline of PMP, what I would see is ways of working is my process domain, power skills is my people domain, business acumen is my business environment domain, right? And that's what you would see in your exam content outline for the exam as well, right? Earlier, or we can say current, till 8th July, the distribution is process domain 50% question, people domain 42% questions, and business domain 8% questions. Now, this comes the second very important part of today's discussion. Now, what has happened is they have changed this to make almost equal distribution to all these three domains. We'll discuss this all in detail also. But the point is important. The point is they have increased the contribution of questions from business environment domain from 8% to 26% and reduce people domain a little bit, reduce process domain a lot. What does that mean? What does that tell us? It tells us that increasingly, if you look around the way people manage project, now the project managers are not only responsible to get the job done, they are also responsible to ensure that strategic objective is met. So the role of a project manager is expanding into strategic role as well. If you have read PMBOK 8 or if you have seen what changes have happened in PMBOK 8, you will see the same thing. Right? A lot of focus on strategy, a lot of focus on organization goals, a lot of focus on expanding the product manager's role into uh, more of a business role, more of a strategic role as well. Not just that. It is still 26%, less than 33%. It's not very high. But increasingly, a product manager is directly responsible for achieving business goals as well. This is what has been seen around the world, and that is what PMI is reflecting in their exam. Right? So this is the second important point that you should keep in mind. If you're preparing for 9th July exam, then you will be tested not only on execution role, which is process domain, not only on leadership, which is people domain, but also on business management domain equally, which means you should know how to work, you should have power skills, and you should have business acumen in equal proportion. Earlier, the proportion was not that much because that's not what was reflective. So in 2021, when PMI would have done the survey in 2020, they would have understood that, okay, the role is not that much related to business acumen. And that's why they asked only 8% of the questions. But now, increasingly in the last 5 years, they would have seen that yes, the product manager is responsible for business results as well. And that's why they have increased the number of questions to 26%. Okay. Along with this increase in 26%, they have made some rearrangement as well. Some tasks that they used to show in people domain have been moved to process domain, some process domain to people domain, some process domain to business domain, some people domain to business domain. Right? So they have rearranged the task, they have consolidated the responsibilities of project manager to make it more reflective of what is happening around the world. Okay, so this is one thing that you should keep in mind. See, keeping the number in mind is not important. Keeping in mind that yes, my role as a project manager is now expanding, and I'm not only responsible for execution of work, but also responsible for business result. And it is just try to imagine this from the AI perspective. Artificial intelligence is being used. All of you must have been using it now, right? So these artificial intelligence tools will help you with execution of the work. Right? Any repetitive work, any research type of work, any generation of text, document, this and that can be done through AI. Right? Which means your role as a project manager would reduce a little bit on execution because AI will take care of it and will increase in the business environment domain, which is the strategy side of it, which is the decision making side of it. Right? And that's why your role is expanding that way. So preparing for PMP prepares you for real life challenges as well. And that's why I love the certification. All right. So lesson to learn from here is increase in business domain because that's what is happening. Your role, your responsibility is also expanding into strategic roles, not just execution. All right. Now, what we'll do is we'll quickly discuss what these things are: the power skills, the business base of working, and business acumen. What does it mean? What do they test? Okay. And then in the following videos, I'll be talking about all these domains in detail also. But for now, just have an understanding of what do we really mean by these things. Okay. So when they talk about power skills, when they talk about people domain, okay, there are multiple soft skills, multiple interpersonal skills that they test. Right? Predominantly, they test you on four power skills: communication, problem solving, collaborative leadership, and strategic thinking. On Tuesday, I have done a live video on how to prepare for this people domain. I'll be coming up with process and business environment domain also very soon, and you will be prepared for it. But this is what is understanding. See, what is your skill? Your communication. You should be able to solve the problem. You should be able to bring people together and then lead. You should have strategic thinking. And along with that, there are multiple other skills also that is tested in the exam. As you can see, everything is related to building relation with people around you, team members, management, suppliers, customers, building relationship. That is what will be tested in the exam. When we talk about ways of working, you will see questions like, what should the project manager do first? What should the project manager do next? Like they are testing you, can you sequence the activities? Right? Then they ask you, what is the best thing that PM should do? What should the PM do? Which means they are trying to understand, can you decide between two equal choices? Which one is better? Or two seemingly equal choices. If two are equal, then there's nothing better. But it looks equal, but can you identify which one is better? Right? That is best action type question. Then they'll ask you question, can you solve the problem? Can you prevent the problem? Right? They also test you on validation versus assumption, which means when the customer says that I'm concerned that product will get delayed, will you start taking action or will you validate the concern first? Is it an assumption or is it already validated? Do I have the information or is it just a concern from somebody? Is it just a suggestion from somebody? Right? So on concerns, on suggestions, on doubts, we don't take actions. We validate that. On information, on test reports, we take action because it is already validated. So they will test you. Do you understand the difference between validation and assumption? Right? Then they'll test you, can you decide the delivery approach? Which approach should be selected in a given condition? They'll also test you on knowledge management. Do you know, do you believe in capturing the knowledge, sharing the knowledge with the team members? Have you built a culture where knowledge flows freely among all the team members? That will be tested. Then lessons learned. Do you know the importance of lessons learned? That will also be tested, right? So when we talk about ways of working, see, apart from scope, schedule, cost, and all those things, that is there, right? I don't even need to tell you all those things. But apart from all those things, this is exactly what is tested. Can you decide what should be done next? Can you decide what is the best thing to do? Can you resolve a problem? Can you prevent a problem? Do you decide based on validation or assumption? Can you decide a delivery approach? Do you maintain the knowledge? Do you capture the lessons learned? These are the things that will be definitely repetitively tested in process domain. Okay, that is what they mean through ways of working. Do you know the best ways of working in a project? So given a scenario, will you be able to take care of all these things? That will be tested. And then when you look at business acumen, they talk about governance of the organization. What are the organization policies? Do you understand that? And can you build your project processes around the organization policy? That is tested. Then you need to meet compliance policies within your organization, outside your organization, government regulations. You should be able to meet. That will be tested. Then new, what they have done is they have added risk and change management also in business domain. Earlier, it was part of process domain. Now they say that when we talk about problems, when we talk about changes, when we talk about risk, it does not only impact the project, but it also impacts the organization. So they have moved the tasks here, right? That's how they have increased the contribution of business environment domain in the exam, right? Now, what does this tell us? It tells us that whatever you have been studying so far is still fine, right? Whether 8% of question is from business domain or 26% of the questions business domain, whatever you have been studying is project management, right? And if you are able to apply all those things in the exam, it doesn't matter which question it is from, you will be able to get it correct, right? So study wise, nothing much changes, little bit of movement from this task to that task, this domain to that domain. That is what has happened, right? So this is your business acumen that we talk about in the exam content outline. Ultimately, 33% of the question will be from people domain, which is 55 questions, right? 41% of the question will be from process domain, which is 41% of 180 is around 72 or 73. Right? And the remaining questions would be from business environment domain, right? Which I think would come to 120, 128, 52 questions or something. Right? Around 50, 51 questions, 52 questions in fact. Right? So 52, 73, and 55. This is the number of questions that you are going to see in the exam. Right? So that's what your exam structure is all about. There will be questions on traditional approach. There will be question on agile approach, but you don't have to create a filter saying that this is traditional, this is agile, and this is how I will study. You should study keeping tailoring in mind. That yes, I'll have to tailor, I'll have to customize my approach given different situations. So they'll give you different situations, different scenarios, and they'll ask you to customize your approach. That is what will be tested, and that's how you should study. All right. Second thing we discussed is increase in the business environment component of the question. From 8%, it has gone to 26%, which is from 14 questions, they have moved it to almost 40, 50 questions. Right? So the big chunk will be asked in from the business environment domain itself. And you have seen why it is happening, because risks, issues, and changes have been added to, have been moved from process domain to business environment domain, and they have added one more thing, which is called continuous improvement in the business environment domain. So you should know all these things. Whenever you are preparing, if you are taking the exam before 9th July, no problem. Just continue doing that. If you are going to take after 9th July, you should know that whatever you're studying is still valid, absolutely valid, 100% valid. The only thing that would change is the type of question, right? Which becomes very, very important. Because earlier there were around 4 type of questions. Now there are 8 different type of questions that will be asked in the exam. So if you are already preparing for PMP, but you think you will not be ready for 9th July, then this is a very important section for you. Before we talk about that, if there are any questions, you can please put on the chat box. I'll take that, and then we'll start talking about type of questions. All right. If there are no questions, then we can start talking about the different type of questions. If you have at any point of time you have doubt, you can mention in the comments. Okay. So earlier there were 4 types as I talked about, right? Multiple choice question, with only one answer, multiple choice question with more than one answers. There was something called drag and drop, which they now call as matching. There was something called hotspot, which they now call as point and click. Okay, so these were the four types which were already there. Let's first have a look at these four types, then we'll talk about the new four types. Okay, only one answer. A scenario would be given in 2 to 3 sentences, followed by a question. There will be four choices. You have to select the best choice. Keep this in mind. The questions are not going to be about the correct choice. It may happen that 2, 3 of them are correct, but which one is better? So you have to always select the best choice. MCQ with single select. Then you have MCQ with more than one answer, which means same thing. Scenario given in 2 to 3 sentences, followed by a question. And then they will mention choose two or choose three. They'll give you 5 options instead of 4, and you have to choose 2. It's mentioned 2 here, so you'll have to choose 2. If it is mentioned 3, you will have to select 3. 3 of the best choices, right? If you get one correct and one wrong, what will happen? I mean, they have not declared it, what will happen, but believe that it will be wrong. And if it is wrong, will you get any negative marking? No. There are no negative markings in the exam. If you get it right, you will get 1 point. If you don't get it right, you will get 0. That's what happens. Then we have something called drag and drop, which is matching. Right? Now it is called matching. Drag and drop is basically they'll give you 2 columns. On one column, there would be some terms. On another column, there would be some examples or scenarios. What you have to do is it will be in jumbled fashion. You have to drag this and drop wherever you think it is the correct one. Once you have dragged everything from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, your answer is ready. You can submit and you can move ahead. Right? Typically, there used to be 7 to 8 questions. So if you're taking the exam before 9th July 2026, you will see 7 to 8 such questions in the exam. Then there is something called hotspot, which they now call as point and click. Basically, they'll give you a chart and they'll ask you, where do you think we are ahead of schedule? Where do you think we are behind schedule? Right? If you think it is here, you point your cursor there and click. This area will get highlighted. And then you can submit the answer. Right? That's what hotspot is. So there used to be these 4 type of questions which will still exist. Right? And I believe majority of such questions will be there. They have added something called case or scenario. There is an entire one full section based on these case or scenario itself. The change here is instead of 2 or 3 sentences, they'll give you 2 or 3 paragraphs. Which means the scenarios would now be explained in more detail. You will have to understand, visualize the scenario, maybe look at the question, come back here, see what they are talking about, and then answer the question. Right? On these 2 to 3 paragraphs, which is one scenario, one case, there will be multiple questions on the same. If you have taken some exams like GMAT or GRE or any other aptitude-based questions, these are called passage-based questions, reading comprehension. Right? So where you read a full paragraph and then you answer the questions based on that paragraph. You select this, you move next, another question will come here, paragraph will remain here. Then select next, another question will come here, paragraph will remain here. Right? So one full section, I'm not sure how many questions will be there. Typically, if I believe if they equally distributed, there would be 60 questions. Now, if one scenario has 4 or 5 questions, then you will see 10 to 12 scenarios. Right? It will all depend on how many questions that they ask. They have not released that information yet. Okay, but it is expected to be 3 to 4 questions per paragraph. And if it is 60 questions, then you will have to solve 10, 12 such paragraphs. All right, major change in the exam question type. Okay, now what does that mean? It means that when you are preparing for the exam, if you are preparing for exam after 9th July, then this is a major chunk that you need to prepare for. Right? We are launching our new mock exam on 26th of June, which will cover all these new types of questions as well. Another question type is called enhanced matching. It's the same matching, but it's enhanced. What is it? See, earlier there were 2 columns in the matching, right? That will still be there. But now you will see one new enhanced matching also, where they'll give you a chart or an image and they'll give you 4 options. You will have to drag it and drop it wherever you think is the correct one. And you will have to drop all, not just one. Right? So which area is behind schedule, which area is ahead of schedule, which area is on schedule? You will have to look at all these things and drag it here. Once you have dragged everything, your question is done. You can move next. Right? Enhanced matching type of question. Now, how many such questions will be there? See, typically hotspot, drag and drop were earlier also there. Hotspot, they asked only 1 or 2 questions out of 180. So I believe in enhanced matching also maybe 4 to 5 questions will be there out of 180 questions. Even if it is 4 and 5, I think it is easier than the multiple choice questions because you see everything right here. And this is what you do as project managers, right? You look at chart, you understand the chart, you take decisions. So this is very interactive and very useful for your project management as well. And answers and everything is right in front of you. So it will be easier than the multiple choice questions. The more number of such questions, you should be happier. Okay. So enhanced matching is new added. Then you have something also added called graphics based. They would give you a screenshot of maybe a tool, maybe some charts, maybe some images. You will have to understand and analyze that image and then based on that answer the question. Right? Not everything is just scenario and questions and answer. You have to answer based on the charts as well. This is where we say that interactivity has been added in the exam. That's why they have added 10 more minutes to you. Right? Case scenarios will be there. Enhanced matching will be there. This graphic based question will be there. And then there will be some questions where you will get answer to be selected from a drop down. So they'll give you a scenario, they'll give you some question, and then they'll give you a drop down. From that drop down, you'll have to select which one is correct. Right? Typically, I believe when they ask you direct questions, which document should be used, which tool can be helpful in this case, which approach should you select? When you do select things, they'll give you this type of question, which is called pull down. Drop down list, select from that, say next, move to the next question. Right? As you can see, what do you see new here? You see cases and scenarios as new. Right? One case, multiple question. What else do you see? You see enhanced matching. Right? Images and charts, drag and drop. What else do you see? Graphs and charts based on that answer. Right? So they have added a lot of interactivity and made it more practical, I would say, along with drop down, pull down type of question as well. Right? So these are the type of questions that they have added in the exam. You should be prepared for it. Right? And as I discussed on 26th June, we are launching this new mock exam, which would have all these type of questions in the mock exam. So if you're preparing for it, you may continue to prepare, continue to study whatever you're studying, continue to solve some multiple choice questions with single select, multiple select. And then from 26 June onwards, you can practice new mock exam with new questions types as well. Any question in this, anyone? If there are any questions, you can mention in the comment box. For now, we will talk about how do we prepare for it now. Okay. So what are the changes that are happening? See, ECO tasks have been consolidated from 35 to 26. They have simplified it. Right? So whatever you have been studying, there's nothing that you have studied extra or there's nothing that you have been studying less if you have already been studying. Right? Whatever you have been studying is almost the same. Little bit here and there, the approach, the way you look at things have changed. Right? And hence, little bit of that understanding is important. But ECO tasks have been consolidated from 35 to 26 with 1 or 2 new focus. Right? More weightage has been given to business environment. We have already discussed from 8% of the questions to 26% of the questions, which means it's a huge jump. 3 times more questions will be asked in business environment domain. Then almost similar distribution to all 3 domains we have already seen, right? Around 50 to 70 questions will be asked from every domain. Interactive question types have been added, which means in your exam, there are less chance that you will get bored. Okay, see, sometimes what happens is when you're solving multiple choice questions, right, you may get bored. So there will be some drag and drop, there will be some enhanced matching, there will be some graph. I think it will be helpful. From my perspective, if I take the exam, right, and I see a lot of interactivity, it's helpful because my mind does not get bored and I don't sleep in the exam, right? So interactive questions are helpful, I think. And time has also been increased by 10 minutes. So the exam is a little bit longer, but 230 minutes in itself was long. 240 minutes is just a little bit longer, right? So it does not impact that much, but yes, it's a change that you need to know about. Right? So as you can see, syllabus wise, they have not changed anything. They've just consolidated the task from 35 to 26. They have just consolidated, right? What is important is more focus on business environment domain, more focus on strategy, right? So if you are already preparing for it, if you're taking the exam, then you need to keep this in mind that as a project manager, I'm not only responsible for execution of the work, but also for delivering business results for my company. If you keep this in mind, your mindset would be prepared to answer such questions in the exam. That is what I think has been added extra in the exam, or you can say that that is what has changed drastically from the way we look at the project management. And of course, question type has been added. So definitely you will need to practice these type of questions so that you don't find yourself absolutely new in front of the exam. Okay. So if these are the changes, and what is the official study resource that you have? PMI provides you a PMBOK guide. Okay, 8th edition is already available. Do not go for 6th or 7th if you are preparing for 9th July. It will not help. Okay, if you want to study PMBOK guide, go for 8th edition. However, studying the PMBOK guide also does not prepare you for the exam because exam is not based on this PMBOK guide. And that's not what I am saying. And that's what is there on the website of PMI, right? Exam is based on PMP certification exam content outline, not the PMBOK guide or any other reference book, right? So PMBOK guide is for project management. PMP is a test of project management. So if you study PMBOK guide, will you be able to answer the questions? Will you be able to understand project management? Yes. But does it prepare you fully for the exam? No. Because along with PMBOK guide, you should also look at exam content outline, right? And that's why they are not allowing anybody to take the exam by just reading PMBOK guide. They want you to go through a training of 35 hours minimum. Only then you become eligible for the exam. And that training should be aligned to the exam content outline. It should cover all the 26 tasks that the new exam content outline talk about. And that's when your training is complete. Right? Tasks are the responsibilities. What project manager should do, decision making, critical thinking, problem solving. These are the skills. So your skills, your application is tested in the exam, not just the information. PMBOK guide provides you the information because it's a standard. It does not talk about the skills that will be tested in the exam, the task, the responsibility of a project manager. Okay. So yes, if you study PMBOK guide, there's no harm. Absolutely study this. It will be helpful. But do not miss the exam content because the exam is based on that, not on PMBOK guide. Okay. So PMBOK guide, 400 pages, exam content outline, just 6 pages. Okay. So as you can see, it's an exam content outline. Right. So they talk about 26 tasks, means 26 responsibilities of a project manager across these 3 domains. Should be able to manage conflict, lead a team. You should be able to develop the scope. You should be able to manage the scope, manage schedule, manage finances, manage procurement, manage issues, risks, changes, manage changes happening across the organization. Right? So these are your responsibilities that are being tested in the exam. So absolutely, whenever you are preparing, please look at exam content outline and see what those 26 tasks are. You should have a good understanding. And in fact, whenever you're preparing from any training program, you should have questions from these 26 tasks that you can practice so that you can know that, yes, from every task, I have practiced the questions, which means I'm making progress. That's the only way to know whether you're making progress in your PMP exam preparation or not. Okay. As you have seen, just repeating, 33% question from people, 41 question from process, 26 from business domain, and that's what makes your exam content outline. How to prepare. If you are an existing learner, you don't have to do the training again. Absolutely not. If you think that training will help you in revising, then you can do the training again, but it is not needed. What you should do is you should access new mock exams with new question types. Okay, and ensure that you have done all 26 task-wise questions, right? It is there in your mock exam package, it is there in the test, and you know that you have completed all these 26 tasks, right? That will be the way to prepare for the exam and also understand whether you are ready for the exam or not, right? So existing learners, don't worry about joining the training again, completing the training again. Just ensure that you have some access to new mock exams with these 26 tasks and new question types that have changed. New learners, absolutely join the training program just like you'd always do, even without the changes, and ensure that you track the progress task by task. I cannot emphasize on this enough that you should track your progress. Yes, I have done 2 out of 26, I've done 5 out of 26, I've done 13 out of 26, which means I am 50% prepared. This is the only way. We are project managers, right? So we need to keep track of our progress. This is the only way to keep track of the progress. Otherwise, you will keep studying. You will never know whether you are ready for the exam or not. Okay. Typically, if you look at some general good mock exams that people provide across, if you are scoring 75% on those mock exams, right, in the first attempt, you should feel that, yes, I am prepared. Right? Here, there's a very important thing that I would like to tell you all, that whenever you're trying to schedule the exam, don't say that, okay, I'll take a chance. Because I'm not scoring 75%, not there, but I'll still take a chance. I'll see what happens. Because most of the times what happens is that if you are not very comfortable with the type of questions will be there, not very comfortable sitting for 4 hours and taking the exam, back to back solving the scenarios, it becomes very taxing when you take the exam. Okay, so my suggestion will be at least prepare or attempt 2, 3 full mock exams, right? See that you are scoring 75%, right? And then schedule your exam. Right? It's not like a semester end exam that will definitely happen on the same date. You can plan for it, you are project managers, right? So try to score 75% and then schedule your exam. You will be more comfortable. Sometimes people say that, okay, let me take a date, then I'll become serious. Then I'll start studying and then prepare. So you're taking a chance. If you work that way, there's nothing wrong in that. It makes you serious and you say that, okay, I've taken 30 days of this, so I'll start studying. But in such cases, what happens is that you take a date and then you have 30 days to prepare. You say, okay, I have 30 days. I'll become serious next week. Then I'll become serious next week. And then on the last week only you study and you take the exam. Right? It happens very commonly. Not a good approach. We are all project managers. We should know how to schedule things. We should know how to understand how much effort would be needed. We should be able to put that effort and then take the exam, right? So my session will always be to score the desired percentage and then schedule the exam, because that's a better approach, because it's not about money. See, money probably you already have, but it is about the pain that you will have to go through while preparing for the exam again. That will trouble you more. Okay, same thing, studying again, same questions repeating, same task-wise progress repeating, because you cannot leave anything to chance in the second attempt, right? So to avoid second attempt, I would suggest prepare well, and you don't need to prepare a lot. You need to prepare for 4 weeks only, apart from the training. Within 4 weeks, you'll be ready. But within that 4 weeks, you will have to spend 10, 12 hours every week. Not every day, of course. Right? Many people say that we have done 10, 12 hours. It's rubbish. Right? 10 to 12 hours every week, which is like 1.5 hour every day and a little bit more on the weekends. 4 weeks, 10 to 12 hours per week should be good enough for your preparation. Okay, apart from training, of course. Training plus these 4 weeks. Right? So it can be done. If you are willing to put effort, if you're putting effort, it can be done and you can schedule exam and pass with confidence. Right? So coming back, just a quick revision. How do you prepare if you're an existing learner? Get access to the new mock exams. As we discussed, we'll be launching it on 26th June. Right? So if you have already purchased our mock exam earlier and you have that expiry period, you'll automatically get access to the new mock exams. If it has already expired, then you'll have to purchase a new mock exam. But on 26th June, these new mock exams with new question types, with task-wise distribution will all be available. You can get access to that. If you are new learners, you can join a training program. We also conduct a training program every month. So you can join any of our training program and it will help you in preparing for the exam. Typically, our training programs are like this. On week one, we talk about starting a project and introduction. Then we follow the PMBOK 8 domains. There are 7 domains. Every day we will cover one domain so that if you're going through PMBOK 8, you have a good understanding of that. Right? You can quickly revise it. Second thing, for all these domains, we map it with ECO tasks so that you also know that, yes, we have covered all the 26 tasks from these week by week thing. Right? Third thing is that it is not just a list of domains, but it is in fact starting a project, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. So a project from start to finish will also be discussed. In every training program, we typically use examples of it. Now what we have added is something called BYOP, bring your own project. Right? So everybody will bring their own project that you are currently managing or you aspire to manage. And then we will help you run that project from start to end, helping you understand how a project is managed and understand what type of challenges you will face, which will prepare you for the exam. Right? So typical case study based training so that you can practically see what is happening. You will bring your project, others will bring their project. So you learn from your project, you will learn from other projects as well. Okay, so typical of 5 week training, it could either be on weekend or weekdays. Weekend is Saturdays and Sundays. Weekdays is Monday to Thursday, 2 hours each. Weekend is 4 hours each on Saturday and Sunday. So 8 hours into 5, 40 hours of training. And then every week you will get a test, whichever batch you join. Based on that test, you will identify the gap, you will identify what went wrong, and you will have to study for a few things through case study as well. That you will do one day, every week you should take a rest and continue this for 5 weeks. You will be prepared for the exam. Another 3 to 4 weeks of revision would be needed. Right? This is for somebody who is starting the preparation new. Right? You will have to join a training, so you can join any of the training program, and you will be prepared in 8 to 9 weeks, which is 2 to 2.5 months. All right. There are some questions, so let me just take it and then we'll go for it. Is 75% in mock good enough or need to score higher in 75% is good enough, right? You should feel comfortable about it. However, see, it is just a number, right? Your confidence also matters. Right? So typically what I have seen in our mock exams, if people have scored 75% in the first attempt in full mock exams, they have passed the exam, right, in the first attempt. But sometimes it may happen that you're getting the number, but you're not very confident about it in some topic. So if there are any topics, you just need to brush up those topics as well, where you might feel a little bit less confident. That is all that is needed. But 75% is a good indication that you are ready for the exam. Any other question, anyone? So what are the resources we provide? Live training for 40 hours. There would be recorded videos, a lot of videos on different topics that you can access for 1 year. There will be weekly tests. There will be an ebook to study for the same topics in detail. 6 full mock exams that you can practice, task-wise questions that you can practice, and discussions and guidance whenever you need as a support to feel you confident, to make you feel confident to answer your doubts. Right. Now, new pattern mock exam will be launching on 26 June, as I discussed. So if you are preparing for exam after 9th July, then you can access these mock exams. Thank you so much for your time. I don't see any other question. If there are any questions, I'll wait for a couple of minutes. Next week, around the same time, Friday, we'll be talking about the new ECO 2026, which means we'll talk about those 3 domains a little bit more in detail. That will give you a better understanding. And then week by week, we'll be talking about specific domains, and then we'll start talking about the tasks. So every week we'll meet and we'll talk about these ECO tasks, not only what is there in that PDF, not only what is there rightly available on website, but diving a little bit deep into trying to build the insight from it. Why is it so? What will be there in the exam? Why they will be asking that in the exam? So we'll be diving a little bit deeper into this. So I hope that you join me on next Friday again, same time, 7:30 p.m. IST. If there are no other questions, then thank you so much for your time. As I said, I'll wait for a couple of minutes. If there are any questions, we'll take it. Otherwise, we'll close the session. Thank you so much.